Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Quentin Hilton. I'm the Communications and Technology Administrator for AMP, Alberta Mentoring Partnership. AMP is a network of community mentoring agencies, government, and youth working together to raise the profile of mentoring in Alberta. We exist to help schools and mentoring agencies meet the needs of the youth they serve. AMP supports the development of healthy, engaged citizens and can help support your organization in strengthening your program offerings. Our mission is working together to strengthen Alberta's capacity to support and enhance mentoring. And our vision is for young people to thrive through mentoring relationships. And with that said, we'd just like to thank you all for joining us for our Indigenous Mentoring webinar, where we get to learn from the incredible Teena Starlight and also showcase our knowledge hub in the hopes that it resources you in your mentoring activities. And next, I would just like to introduce our lead of projects and governance at AMP, Al Chapman, who will give our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Quentin. So at AMP, we would like to acknowledge that spanning generations, acknowledgement of the land is a traditional custom of Indigenous people when welcoming outsiders onto their land and into their homes. To build respectful relationships, acknowledging the land is an important part of reconciliation. In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we acknowledge we are on and support mentoring for youth in the traditional territories across Alberta of the many First Nations from Treaties 6, 7, and 8, the Métis of the 8 Alberta settlements, and Inuit people whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. These lands are the traditional meeting grounds and homes for many Indigenous peoples for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We are all treaty people, beneficiaries of the peace and prosperity the treaties brought, and are committed also to working toward the equity and justice the treaties promised. And at AMP, we feel it's important to start our meetings, but also continue that work through everything that we do with AMP. And we're really proud of the partnerships that we have across the province. And I'd like to pass it over to Kim to introduce our guest speaker today, who is with one of those organizations that we really cherish our relationship with and continue our work with.
Thanks, Al. Good afternoon, everyone. I get the pleasure of introducing the amazing Teena Starlight, who has been the National Director of the Indigenous Youth Mentorship Program, otherwise known as IYMP, with Everactive Schools since November 2022. Since 1999, Teena worked as an educator with the Calgary Board of Education, Kainai Board of Education, and Tsutsina Department of Education, as well as at the Mount Royal University. During her years as a teacher, Teena has promoted Indigenous ways of knowing, being, and doing into her teaching practices. She has a passion for creating, sharing, and implementing land-based learning opportunities to foster health and well-being for students. Welcome, Teena. I turn it over to you now.
I'm Teena Starlight. I'm from Teena Nation. I've also invited my colleague Brian Torres with me here. He's I'm new to Everactive since November. I've known about Everactive when I was a teacher as well through the many wonderful projects that they do, and so glad to be part of the Everactive team. I'm here to talk about the Indigenous Youth Mentorship Program, and anything that I happen to forget, Brian's here to help back me up with that. So we put together a pitch a little about IYMP, the Indigenous Youth Mentorship Program. Our vision is to create a world where Indigenous children and youth have safe, healthy practices to be, belong, grow, and give of themselves. We seek to build on the strengths of youth in their communities to support their journeys towards self-determination. Our mission is to develop and deliver relationship-based communal mentor programs involving Indigenous youth and adult allies to nurture healthy, inclusive communities. This is a picture of our last IYMP training that was done in December down in Kananaskis. beautiful group. There was some youth from Ganawagi and from Winnipeg and from different communities in Alberta came to join us for our training there. Okay, IMP is tackling severe inequities that exist among Indigenous youth, a group that is growing at a rate 4 times faster than the rest of Canada. So I just happened to read an article the other day about suicide as well, and I'll come back around to when we talk about the circle of courage and the 4 R's, but they do talk about this suicide rate and how it is higher in Indigenous communities, and ways to fight that is always that sense of belonging, even to fight addictions. There was another article I read that that was about addictions, and it was about the feeling of belonging that can actually change and put a whole mental transformation in youth and adults if they had a sense of belonging to fight all of these challenges that we face. We also have Elder Jack Robinson from Thompson in Manitoba, who has been guiding IYMP for many years when it was through research. We also have Elder Flora Northwest from Musquecheese, who has joined the IYMP team as another elder to combine and to guide us as well. So IYMP is a community-based healthy living program. We are a program that runs about once a week for 90 minutes throughout the school year. We deliver healthy snacks and physical activity and offer post-secondary application fees, bursaries, and high school credits when we can. We follow an IYMP model that is holistic and a holistic and Indigenous approach, whereas research backed. We're grounded in Indigenous theory of mainly around the circle of courage from Martin Brokenleg, Dr. Martin Brokenleg, and also from Kirkness, Dr. Kirkness with the 4 R's. And we are relationship driven. So we go into communities to actually build a relationship and work with the communities in using the services that they have, and it's a strengths-based approach, so that again we get to know the community and find their strengths and build on that as we're implementing the program. So here's some work that was done from Kate Story's lab, who is a huge supporter and has done many research, a lot of research on the program itself. So the essential conditions for implementing IYMP, that it has to be youth-led, school and community specific autonomy, demonstrated administrative leadership, high-level support, dedicated champions to engage school community support, quality and use of evidence, learning opportunities, rooted in relationships. And then the contextual conditions are time, funding, and project support, readiness, and understanding. So this is actually what brought me and has connected me with the work from IYMP. So I happen to be working on my doctorate as well on again, I mentioned I was an educator for many years, and a lot of it has to do with implementing Indigenous ways of knowing into your teaching practices. And so through the work I've done, and also through ceremony and working with many elders and community knowledge keepers, a lot of the work that I've done is around the 4 R's with respect, relevance, reciprocity, and responsibility. And so that's what really drew me and connected me with the IYMP program, is because it has the same foundations. And so through the circle of courage and through the 4 R's, this is how you build Indigenous identity that supports students' well-being and mental health. So generosity is the spirit of belonging. And with the spirit of belonging comes respect for yourself, respect for others, respect for environment, respect for your community and the people in your community. And then we have belonging. So belonging is a spirit of, mastery. The spirit of mastery is the thirst for learning cultivated with the world so that the child can say, I can succeed. So this again has to do with having relevance in what you're teaching. You know, with the community, when you're looking at Indigenous communities, understanding that not all Indigenous communities are the same. Even within Treaty 6, 7, and 8, we have various nations. So really making it a community relationship-based approach where you're getting to know the community and know their protocols, know their culture, know them as a whole, so you're able to integrate well with them and also implement those teachings into the youth mentorship program as they see fit. And then we have independence. So independence goes with responsibility. So it's where a child has can say that they have a power to make decisions. So same thing, they're taking on the responsibility of being an active member in the community by being a member, being a mentor, and also mentoring the younger students of their community. And this is how you build, create responsibility so that they feel that they're worthy and they're part of a community and that they do belong. And so we move to the last one, which is generosity. And generosity is where you have concern for others. So you're taking it, I guess, one step farther, and you become reciprocal for the teachings that you've received. And so again, with Indigenous ways of knowing, when you receive different teachings, or if you have really good feelings of and people have shared how to be well, or to be happy, to laugh, to they made you feel well, you want to share that. And you want to be reciprocal and find ways to give back. And that's what reciprocity means, is that you're not just taking, you're also becoming responsible, and you're giving back to your community, to the younger mentors that are that you're working with. So from the research, we are growing. So IYMP in 2003 originated in Winnipeg. It was called the Rec and Read program. 2008, there was a pilot program that began in northern Manitoba in Indigenous communities. In 2009 to 2011, researchers shows positive changes. And again, we still have those Manitoba and Winnipeg communities that are still running IYMP, so almost 20 years now. 2011 to 2015, we have added 5 more communities, which means we added 500 more youth. And this is how we had brought it to Alberta as well. In 2016 to 2018, we have grown to 13 more communities, where we're servicing 1,100 plus youth. And then in 2020, we managed to hit, this is pre-pandemic, we managed to service 50 communities, which is 1,470 children and 735 youth. So we are rippling out, and there is a need, and again, it's because that it is based on Indigenous knowledge systems, you know, and it's community based. We do, like we said, it is research based, so we do have the backing, and these are all the different articles that if you're interested to read on the impacts that IYMP has had on many Indigenous communities, not just within Alberta, but across the nation, like we explained, starting from Winnipeg and Manitoba, and we have a community in Ganawagi in Quebec, and with Wemaquan in Ontario. We've got some communities in Saskatchewan, and a lot of communities in Alberta as well, in Treaty 6, 7, and 8. Sorry. IYMP is creating a lasting impact in the communities they serve, changing the lives of children and the youth. We do have, because we are, again, I just recently joined in November, we are moving forward to become more national and to work with our Alberta communities and reconnect with them since it's post-pandemic. really getting on, connecting with the communities that we were with, and making sure that we stay connected with them and see how they're doing. So a lot of this year has been reconnecting with communities. A lot of Indigenous communities are at different places after the pandemic, but we're still dedicated to working together and supporting one another. Hey, I think I have some additional slides, but that's all like the research base and the data that if you're interested, I mean, I could send this to you. Brian, anything I might have missed? Oh, we do actually offer with our program too, credit earning opportunities for high school students. So some of them that are close to graduating, maybe a credit or two off, we try to offer training, like leadership training, so that they, or even volunteer hours to get the credits that they need to graduate. Anything I might have missed, Brian?
No, you did great, Teena. I just wanted to thank you for that. It's always nice to hear it through your words. And to that slide that talked about IYMP being here since 2003, that's a real long time, and a few people have been able to carry IYMP and support the program as it engages with the communities. And now we just feel so fortunate that Teena is going to be carrying it. So whenever anyone has it, or anyone's taking care of the program and making sure that it does connect to communities, sometimes it happens in a very, very different way. We've had a lot of, as you could see, a lot of research-based work done with IYMP, but very much we're transitioning out of that work. You know, this is, I always say this, that when you have a really positive health promotion program, you know it works, you can stop measuring. And Teena is going to really carry this program in her way as it grows across the country. So we're grateful for that leadership.
Thank you so much, Teena and Brian, for sharing with us the tidbits around IYMP and how you work with communities in their own context to be able to support the youth and build those relationships so that they can have a more positive future as they move forward. At this time, if any of our participants would like to ask some questions, just unmute yourself or type them in the chat box, and Teena and Brian will try and answer them for you. Go ahead, Donna.
So I actually saw your program in progress when I was visiting a school in Treaty 8. And my question is, how are you supported or funded to do the work? And you might have mentioned that and I missed it.
We do a lot of grant writing.
Okay.
Looking for funds to support the work. Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm also a Rotarian, and Rotary is looking for partnerships. We have so I'm just looking for, some sort of connections in that way that would be of value to the communities. And I know Rotary is looking at how to sort of connect with groups.
Donna, we just finished going through a process with a group called LEAP. It's called LEAP Social Precot Center out. They're based in Ontario, but we were part of a Healthy Futures venture.
Okay.
So we did receive some funding from them over the last 2 years, and that's ended. But some really things that we've tried to work on is Teena's been able to come on, and she's been able to really ground the program to the framework that she indicated. Things like working with the communities that we had. If you saw on the first couple of slides, the brand new logo and kind of the story behind that logo is pretty powerful. And then also just soon to come out is a brand new website, which will be functional for communities to use. And maybe just a piece on, I know a lot of these groups will work on mentoring in terms of a one-on-one relationship. But in terms of this like communal-led mentoring, we're really focused on the environment. So how do we create a safe, healthy environment for mentoring to take place? Maybe one last one to funding, and as Teena said, we are a nonprofit, we are a charity, so we seem to be on a grants treadmill all the time, and we're writing a lot of grants. But also we've worked closely with groups like Canadian Tire Jumpstart that work across the country, and they've been able to support some of our work as well. And then we previously had a contract with Alberta Health that came to an end that was focused on also youth leadership as well.
So I just want to do a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
So Teena, would you, we have an Indigenous speakers series. Is this something that you might be able to speak directly to Rotarians and provide them with some direct information?
Direct information about the program?
Yeah, just basically a little bit of a presentation like this. We have an Indigenous Relations Committee, and we're connected with HIP. And so I think I would, it might be interesting for people who are not necessarily in schools, but are looking to support this kind of thing in schools. That's where I see the connection, but it would be helpful for you to present to them. And would you be the person we would reach out to see if that's a possibility?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd be willing.
Okay. Yeah. So we probably wouldn't be looking at till the fall, but it's just a way to sort of get the word out.
Okay. Thank you.
Through mentoring at work, we can reach out and we make these connections during our webinars. Any other questions from the group? Teena, I have one. How do you decide which communities you'll be working with?
Well, we go and we like through, let's say, different connections that we have, because even Everactive has many connections in different school communities. And then with different people or communities that I know, just promoting and seeing if there's an interest or a need. We've also connected with different health hubs within Indigenous communities to see if they're interested in that way. And again, just going into community, seeing how they're doing, see if there's any interest, and engaging that way and building relationships from there. We also offer, if there are groups that are interested, sometimes we offer like go into schools or go into community to do presentations, and just try to stay as connected as we can. I think something I didn't mention in there is that we do offer training. We go into school, but we also try to do like big group training, so the other Indigenous mentors get to meet each other, and the other Indigenous communities that are running IYP, so that we're doing like building a network system for each other. We've also started a youth council, advisory council. So we've got some council members in Alberta as well from Kihiwan community right now. So we find different ways to connect, and a lot of it is through relationship building and kind of word of mouth. My friend knows your friend kind of thing.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Another call out for questions. Thanks again, Teena and Brian. I'll turn it over to Al. He's going to walk us through our new AMP Knowledge Hub.
Thanks, Kim. So what we want to do today is kind of walk through this next level of where do we find the resources when we're needing them. And there's always great people to reach out to, like Teena and others in the community. But there's sometimes when you just want to quickly go find a site and find a resource and then find a hub. So where I've got up right now is the main page for Alberta Mentors. So that's albertamentors.ca. And a lot of our partners are used to going to the resource section. We do have an Indigenous mentoring section here, and those are just 4 resources that our team has put together. So Tanya Taranjo, who worked with us for the last couple of years, has put together some resources, and they can be found here. But what we've done over in our Knowledge Hub, so across the main navigation bar of our website, you can hit the Knowledge Hub, and this takes you to another parallel site to our main site. And once we're in here, you can either hit this very top section here that says Indigenous Cultural Resources, or you can go a little bit farther down the page, and then we have all the different categories. So we've filtered it so that you can check off what you're looking for. So specifically, if you want Indigenous cultural resources, Indigenous mentoring, and you can kind of hit the checkbox, and then it'll go through and bring up those resources for you. And in going through it, we've collected not only AMP resources, but other resources from the community that have filled in the gaps that a number of our partners have been asking for over the last few years. So when they're asking for different resources, we'll go out and search them out. Some people have shared them with us. We vet them through our team and through other professionals to make sure that the materials that we're sharing are appropriate and they haven't just been taken from somewhere else without acknowledgement. So we've taken them, put them onto this page, and you can go through and see the thumbnails of them, and then you can click on various pieces. It'll give you a description of the resource, and then a section where you can download the resource, and you can look at the different tags. So this one here would be specifically Indigenous cultural resource, as well as Indigenous mentoring, and then the owner. So where did this document originate from? So it's important that we give the acknowledgement of where this comes from. So if there's any follow-up questions, any more information that you're looking for, you can also reach out to those organizations or those individuals and get some more information. If you come across a resource or have other resources in your community, you can also go submit a resource and provide that resource to us and share it with us. And then we can go back and either work with you directly or the original source of that document. We can work with them. It could be research. It could be a specific resource. This one here is trauma-informed pathways to healing. It's a toolkit. So organizations, schools can use a specific toolkit in their schools or in their communities. Going through, we have a great document from the Alberta Teachers Association, acknowledging land and people. Going through the different pages, there's 3 pages of documents here. 2 Crees in a Pod is a great resource. It's an online, just let me go to it here. So it's a podcast, and if you go through, you can go to their podcast, and then there's a number of different episodes that they have listed. We're now using it as a resource for our new mentoring youth and young adults from care, transitioning from care program that mentors and mentees can listen to together and then create almost like their own little book club, but based on a podcast, and they can ask you a set of different questions. They can spur on different topics. And just be forewarned, once you're into it, you can't pull yourself out. You will get sucked into the world of 2 Crees in a Pod. It is fantastic once you're in there, and it's hard to pull yourself back out. And then if we get into the 3rd page, that's where you'll find more of the AMP resources that can also be found on our website. So we have some of our webinars, some previous webinars that we've recorded and posted on the site here. And then moving through, we have our toolkits as well as our individual sheets for Powwow 101. And I was just looking here for the Round Dance 101. That's back on our web page as well. But all those can be found in this section here, the AMP resources. And if there's any questions, you can directly contact us, or if it's another resource from another organization, you can also reach out to them for any questions that you have. So are any questions or any specific resources that people are currently looking for that we should be on the lookout for ourselves to share? So I open it up for any feedback and any comments or questions.
I have a question. Are your resources just within Alberta, or are they from the nation?
Across the nation, yes. That's a really good question. That was the reason that Tanya had suggested that we go to this model, so that it was opened up across all borders to take a look at what is out there and the best practices, and we can share all of that. So it's not just specific to, say, Treaty 6, 7, and 8, or just, the vicinity that we're in. We wanted to reach out further. And definitely check back often, because every 2 weeks we meet as a team, and one of our standing items on that meeting is looking at new resources that we can add to it. So I think the last meeting we were talking about 3 new resources. Kim had brought a couple. There was one I had brought forward. So we're always looking and adding new resources on an ongoing basis. So it's good to just kind of check in even once a month and see what's there, and see if you can add to your toolkit with what we have in ours. So thank you. Back over to Kim.
Al, I believe we also discussed that we would be spotlighting or sharing some of these new pieces occasionally in our Mentoring Minute newsletter that comes out bi-monthly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kim. That's a great point. So we do have every second Wednesday, Quentin sends out our newsletter, the Mentoring Minute. And there are a number of resources that are kind of highlighted in there, but also on our social media accounts. Quentin, especially for this month in particular, we've been highlighting the Indigenous star stories that have been shared with us by a knowledge keeper in the area. And we've been featuring those kind of a couple at a time. And there's a list of, help me out, Quentin, how many star stories in total did he share?
So there are 13 altogether. So far, we've shared 4.
Right. So we will have a link, or actually it's a QR code at the end that you can sign up for our newsletter, and then you can get those coming in directly to you every 2 weeks. So the next one is it this Wednesday, Quentin? Tomorrow is the next newsletter. Yeah. So sign up today and you can get the next one hot off the presses tomorrow. Brian's hand up.
Yeah, Quentin and Alan and whoever else is a part of this is hard work. So we always talk about a one-stop shop to have all really good resources, but to go through those resources, to review them, and then to post them regularly. So very much appreciate all that work.
Oh, thanks, Brian. And I know from your work on the leadership team and the work that you've done in the community, alerting us to some of this work. And we meet some of these people at your conference and other conferences that we attend. And as we build out these relationships, we see what's out there and we realize the need. And people don't have time in their busy days to go be searching all over the place, and it became really important. And when Tanya worked with us to kind of find that hub, and we're getting some good feedback. So thank you for your words as well, and your support, ongoing support of AMP. So Quentin has put up the QR code for our newsletter, and then across the bottom, you can see our Instagram, Twitter, and our Facebook accounts. We're also on LinkedIn as well. So if some of you are on LinkedIn, we also have that account as well under Alberta Mentors. And we're always posting a lot of our activities and a lot of activities of our different partners around the province. We're now up over 230 partners, and there's a lot of activity happening around Alberta on an ongoing basis. And we really like to highlight what our different partners are doing, whether it's activity in the community, whether it's research that they're part of, whether it's a program that they have. It's really great to see the breadth of programming that's happening and the different events that are pulling in more and more community to what we do, and showing off the importance of mentoring and the importance of supporting youth as they're trying to make their way through a really, I think, a complicated time over the last couple of years, and they're really needing that extra support for extra mental health and well-being. And yeah, there's some amazing work going on right now. So please check out through our channels, and then I hope you then connect with some other partners through your journey. So thank you again. So Quentin, back over to you.
Yeah, you covered a lot of what I wanted to say. I just want to thank everyone for your time. Thank you for joining us today. As you can see, we have our newsletter and socials that you can follow just to stay updated on and stay in the loop on all of our upcoming events, all of upcoming events in general, mentoring resources, and just really good articles as well. So yes, thank you everyone for your time today.